Jerry Harrison just checking for voice level again. Thanks, man. Welcome to Nuevo Campo in Leon. This is 400 kilometers from Mexico City's celebrations, deep in the heartland of Mexico. It's quieter here, but it's hotter for this knockout contest between the Soviet Union's young side, as Brian mentioned, very much the Dynamo Kiev side, and the Belgians, who have more experience, but have brought a few youngsters in to try and cool things down in this heat. The Belgians are going to be playing in red, the Russians in white, and the Belgians playing here for the first time have remarked how much hotter it is. And Guy Thys said beforehand, when does any red devil, as they're known, complain of the heat? Get out there and give it a go. Their morale isn't great, but they think they have a chance. Ron, do you think they have a chance?
Yes, I think when the Belgians play well, they have a chance against anybody. I'm particularly interested, Jerry, to have a look at the Russians and see how they use this system of just playing Belenov up the middle and then pushing everybody into him. It's probably about the only new tactics that's emerged in the World Cup this time, hasn't it?
Yes, I think what the other sides found against them was that the speed and understanding between the players in midfield who kept flowing forward. But of course, not only is it the first game in the knockout style for these two teams, but for the referee, Mr. Erik Fredriksson of Sweden, it's his second game. Leon is quite a few meters lower than Mexico and Toluca, where Belgium are playing. They shouldn't have any trouble with the altitude, but the heat does worry them. For Russia, of course, they played here before. They played France here. They're very happy with their setup. So away, it's Belgium with a reorganized defense against the Russians, who came here. Everybody thought they'd be a bit dull, perhaps do a bit early on, and produce not much. They've actually produced some of the most exciting football we've seen. Dimitrienko, the big strong left back, flicked on by Rats, is Geretz, who's come back into the Belgian side after injury. Rats and Schifo. It's a free kick. Yakovenko, Alienikov and Bal, who's the new player in the side. We won't see him attack too much yet, but he's a terrific player going down the right-hand side. Besanov trying to find Rats. Schifo back. And there's Grun, who, with Demol, is playing as one of the markers, one of the fellas at the back. There'll be, I suspect, a little bit of jousting early on to get the pattern in the game. Besanov. Yeremchuk. Alienikov, Rats playing wide on the left. Yaremchuk over here. Zavarov is in the middle. Yaremchuk against Fevort. Fevort gets a leg in. And Yaremchuk wins the first corner for the Soviet Union. Going to be taken by Vasily Rats, who's got a powerful left foot. He usually swings them in and causes no end of trouble on the near post. Demenienko, the big left back, has come forward, so has Kuznetsov. Alienikov gets in. It's going to be picked up again by Rats. Deflected away. The powerful left foot, you remember the goal he scored against France. That was some hit, wasn't it, Ron? The long-distance striking is part of their policy.
Yes, particularly, you know, with this thin air where they can have a crack from any distances. We're led to believe, and certainly when we've seen them before, that they just keep the one striker up Belyevnov and push up to him, as I was saying before the kickoff. But they've started off with virtually trying to throw 4 men forward. 2 wingers tucking in, but ready to come out as quick as possible.
And that's a chase there for Klaassen. Forward from De Mol, and Veit couldn't pick it up. Remember, of course, this is a knockout tournament now. 90 minutes. If it's level, then it'll be extra time, and then penalties after that. So we're definitely going to get a result tonight. Here's Ronquin, who's sweeping up for Belgium. Doesn't normally play in that role. Jean-Marie Pfaff to Keulemans, the captain. In for Frankie Verkalteren. Hard one for Klaassen. Won by Bal. Yaremchuk getting away from his man well. Here's Zavarov. Alienikov. Alienikov getting forward. Zavarov might go for return. They're very direct. They get a lot down the middle as well. But here's Rats on the left foot if he likes. Coming inside well. Down he goes. No penalty.
I think he's lived on the Bible there a little bit, Schiffel. Looked very much as if Rats had a fair claim for a penalty there, Jerry, I thought.
But interestingly enough, the referee goes over to him and warns him, obviously, for what he adjudged a bit of a dive. Here's Kuznetsov now for the Soviet Union, picked up by Belanov. Demenienko, the left back. Here's Bal. Bal can whack one. Well blocked by Frankie Verkalteren. And everybody's enjoying a bit of possession in this Russian side at the moment. Yaremchuk. And the tackle came in fairly powerfully from Fevort. Zavarov with a throw. Oh, it's a terrific run forward. And De Mol just stops Yaremchuk. It's a turn by Belanov. Forward goes Zavarov. Zavarov still there. Belanov misses an open goal.
Well, you don't get many better chances than that in the first 5 minutes of a game, do you? But it is an impressive start. Look, this is typical. Good run through, steady control, a beautiful pick out. Really, Belanov, he'll be cursing for that. But it's been a very, very positive start from the Russians. Everybody's flying forward. They're interchanging positions brilliantly. And it's going to be a very testing period for the Belgians, this.
And that pass was supplied by the central defender, Kuznetsov. So, as Ron says, they all are getting forward when they get a chance. Ronquin, easily snuffed out. This is Kuznetsov again. Rats is on the left. On the right is Belanov. Looking for Rats against Gerets. Demenienko is supporting him just inside. Demenienko, very strong player. Kuznetsov. And Belanov can turn again. No, he can't. Great save. Terrific shot there by Yakovenko. And Pfaff was in trouble, but they're setting it up so superbly. Yakovenko hit a superb shot. And Jean-Marie Pfaff at his very best. Corner coming up. And I think we'll have another one. That went off Schifo, right under the eyes of the Swedish referee. Well, the Belgians will do well to stem this tide. Belanov is over the far side. Besanov is coming forward. And there must be a chance there. Again, although I think the whistle had gone. Yakovenko had a little dig at it. The whistle had gone before he shot.
Yes, the referee, I think, is blown for handball against one of the Russians there, Jerry. But I can't believe the Belgian marking on the corner. They've taken, I think it's 3 corners, the Russians, and they've dinked everyone in at the near post. And they've let the Belgians have let the Russians have a spare man at the near post who can just get the little touch on. It's something in English league football it wouldn't be tolerated.
So the Dynamo Kiev combination is going well so far. Just about 7 minutes gone. It's 0-0, and the Belgians are going to get a free kick in a fairly inviting position. The feeling is they won't get too many attempts on goal. They've got to make the most of them. And the possibilities here are the left foot of Frankie Verkouteren, the right foot of Enzo Schifo, and others to be laid wide to either flank. Here's Verkouteren. Plucked out comfortably by Rinat Dasayev. One of 2 players not from Dynamo Kiev. His first touch. A lot of space then for the Russians coming forward, with only the hard-working Klaassen here forcing them back. Besanov over to Bal. Belanov moving well on the right-hand side. This is going for Belanov. He can't get it. Well, when these 2 sides played in 1970 in Mexico, the Belgians actually had their bags packed and were at the airport before the game, and they lost 4-1. This time, their morale is a bit higher. They haven't actually packed their bags. Well, we'll see what they can produce here. Bal into Yakovenko, to Besanov. Klaassen again running well up front, but in this heat, you'll find it very difficult to keep going. Alienikov looking for Belanov. Vervoort covers. Going again into trouble, though. Picked up by Kulemans. There might well be a bit of the old back passing from the Belgians, and Ronquin, the sweeper, not the quickest of players, might be encouraged to play offside a bit, but with this pace of the Russians, that might be dangerous. Schifo, and that's out. Zavarov, brought down by Veit. Demenienko, Besanov. Over to Bal. He's got Yaremchuk on the right-hand side. He comes inside, leaving him space to get down to the touchline. Bal, not a great ball, but they've got plenty of players in there. Here's Zavarov, looking for a give and go. Zavarov shot, and no trouble. Cut out well by Yakovenko. Picked up again by Yakovenko. Belanov. Yaremchuk comes inside. Here's Zavarov. Zavarov's turn. And Kulemans has it nicely. And coolly.
Jerry, the Russians have started off playing quite a high-tempo football. Every time they break wide, and they've used the width very, very well, they're always trying to get bodies in the box. I don't think I've seen a team in this competition get as many bodies in the box when the ball's in wide positions.
And the Belgians using only one up front, trying to get a bit of support for Klaassen. Aren't finding it easy at all. Now they're backpedaling, and there's room here for the Russians to build again. Bal has gone forward on the right-hand side. This is Yakovenko. Demenienko, the left back. It's out. It won't work. Well, if tradition's got anything to do with it, then the Belgians might have a few problems. They've played Russia 4 times. They haven't won once. They've only scored 1 goal. But things can change. Shifo getting up with Demenienko. It's a throw to the Soviet Union. Kuznetsov. Besanov. Zavarov here. Quickly onto him was George Grun, but that wasn't a good ball out by Verkauteren, and Yakovenko uses Yaremchuk. Yaremchuk, a return to Belanov, and Belanov is complaining about the quality of it. Besanov, Kuhlemans, but it's only into the wide open spaces. There's nobody going to pick up loose balls like that for Belgium. Yakovenko, Kuznetsov. Bal, the right back. Again, they've come inside, leaving him space down the flank. There's Kuznetsov into Yaremchuk. Alenienkov. Besanov looking for Zavarov. It wasn't a good one, but there's no way the Belgians will pick up this again. Well, the Belgians are trying to pack into midfield, make it solid at the back, but there's no challenge at all up front. Rats, who's dropped back, and the left back Demenienko is up in the forward line. Here's Besanov. Zavarov looking for Hazard.
You were saying before the match, Jerry, you thought when they come over here the Russians were going to be a dour side. Well, quite frankly, they're certainly the most positive side I've seen in the tournament. They've been playing close on a quarter of an hour now. Should possibly have scored 2 goals. A good save and a bad miss.
And that'll be a throw in to the Belgians. This Dynamo Kiev experiment, there are actually 12 in the squad of 22, has been used before by the Russians, but it hasn't worked. The players have found it too hard to be playing in Europe and internationals. But it doesn't seem to be doing too badly here. But here's Verkauteren with a long shot. The goalkeeper didn't even budge. The manager, of course, is the Dynamo Kiev manager, Valery Lobanovsky. There would have been 13 players in the squad of 22, but Baltacha, one of the defenders, was injured, and so he had to go back home. Besanov to Bal with Yaremchuk on his right-hand side. In for Yakovenko. Yakovenko still has it. Belanov turning away. Yakovenko, and as a good recovery header by Gretz. Shifo left to play alone there. Favort. And Demol, bad one though. Well won by Shifo. Good ball forward. Chased by Veit. Klaassen coming to the near post. Mol's in trouble. Val was in big trouble there, and Frankie Verkauteren coming in over the far side had, would you say, a chance, Ron?
Oh, it's certainly a good chance. Although De Mol was in trouble, I think that he did enough there. Sorry, Besanov was in trouble. I think he did enough maybe to put Verkauteren off, coming around the back stick. Well, realising he wasn't going to get to the cross, he backed quickly, and I think he might just did enough to put him off. Good ball in, though. Certainly a good ball in.
Superb ball by Schifo to put Veit away. The deep cross, and Vercauteren was there, but taken the blow.
One of the things the Russians have been doing, okay, they've nearly caught them on the counter a little bit there, Jerry, but one of the things the Russians have been doing, different to every other side I've seen in the competition, whenever they've lost possession high up the field, they haven't backed off. They've tried to press the Belgians into their own half of the field. And it saves an awful lot of running if you can do this. We've just had a first-class example there of Yakovenko pressing, winning the ball just outside the Belgian penalty area and almost setting the Russians up with a goal-scoring chance.
Frankie Vercauteren has recovered, one of their most experienced players, of course, 10 years an international. So it's important to Belgium that he sticks to his task. Bal again, almost caught out on that far post by that cross. Kuznetsov. Alienikov. That was rather hopeful. Alienikov, one of the two players who doesn't come from Kiev, he comes from Leningrad. Jean-Marie Pfaff plays for Bayern Munich, of course, and only just made these finals. He was in the Bayern Munich reserve side, and the manager said, I'm not going to pick you unless you get in the first team, and he just made it in the last 3 or 4 weeks. Kuznetsov puts it forward, picked up by George Grun. Schifo. Deminienko having a little hack at him, and Zavarov tripping him. Enzo Schifo, the number 8, is only 20, but now with considerable international experience and a lot of Italian eyes on him, of course. Alienikov with Bal right over the far side. And offside, was that? It was by Belanov. Give it me to my feet, he said.
Keep selling this, Jerry. Remember, it's 20 past 11 tonight. We want to keep it all up. It's going to be a great game or whatever.
So, in the first 19 minutes or so, we've had the Russians pushing forward, desperate to get the game wrapped up, like they did against the Hungarians in their opening game, where they rattled in 6 goals. They seem quite capable of doing something similar here, but they've been denied just at the moment. And the Belgians beginning to build something rather slowly.
Yes, it's funny how things happen to football sides, isn't it? 20 minutes of the game gone. Russia, no question, the better side, and yet they've let the Belgians off a little bit. And you can sense, the teams do, that the Belgians feel they might have a little bit of a chance.
Kuznetsov forward, cut out by Geretz. Again, the hard work of Veit. Zavarov does well as well on that line. So we'll have a free kick there, or will we? No, a little bit of a word or two from the referee, but the throw from Deminienko. Well, Yaremchuk fell over, but didn't get anything from the Swedish referee. Bear in mind, the Belgians had what they thought was a really problem defence when they came here. They'd only been here about 2 or 3 days, and then they got a bad dose or two of the Aztec two-step. They all went down, even though they got their own chef and their own food. They felt there might have been a suspicion of sabotage, but that one passed through, as they say. Klaassen wriggling around well on his own. No chance there for Favort to chase that one. Kuznetsov. Belanov is on the right-hand side. Yaremchuk has gone forward into the middle. So too is Yakovenko. Yakovenko here. And here goes Alienikov, looking for the return. De Mol here playing well, 20 years of age, and he just come into the side, but Schifo loses it rather badly, and the referee's whistle has gone.
That's a first-class example of what I was on about, Jerry. Most teams have normally been backing off because of the heat. The Russians went flying in and have almost pressurised Schifo into a mistake on the edge of his own box.
Quite a young side, the Russians. There's 3 or 4 of them who haven't got into double figures as far as international appearances are concerned. Kuznetsov gets a fortunate rebound, picked up by Yakovenko. Bal and Yaremchuk. There goes Zavarov forward. He looked offside, but Belanov making a good run, and it was a superb tackle by De Mol, this 20-year-old playing at the back for Belgium. Klaassen. And it's a throw for the Soviet Union. It's just over 22 minutes gone of this first half. It's still 0-0, which has been a bit of a surprise. But the Russians haven't got through for a decent shot on goal in the last 5 minutes. Have Belgium got more of a chance? Kuznetsov to Yaremchuk. Forward goes Zavarov. Zavarov, no chance with the rebound. Schifo. And Alienikov body checks him. Just the 2 players up front, so playing it through the middle to Schifo. That's a bad one. Schifo almost wins it back. And Kuhlemans might have done. He gets it now. Kuhlemans again. And Frankie Verkouteren doesn't want to chase it, but Klaassen will have a go at pretty well anything, even hopeless cases like that.
I don't think I've ever seen Big Kuhlemans force back so much. I mean, obviously the plan before the start of the game was to play him up just behind the 2 strikers. But he's having to do all his work digging out in the middle of the field defensively.
Belanov's gone wide on the right. Yaremchuk's now interchanging with him. Just pushing around at the back, hoping for a bit of space in the middle. Zavarov has it. Looking for Belanov. Here's Rats, good on that left foot. And Grun gets it away well. But only an attempted chop by Yakovenko.
Once again, Jerry, 6 Russian players, you know, blocking them in there, trying to force errors. I think it's tremendous stuff at the moment, considering some of the rubbish we've seen prior to this. Maybe it's because it's a knockout competition now, but certainly the Russians have said go, and the Belgians are going to have to do a hell of a lot to stay in the game.
Rats couldn't get it. Gretz. An attacking fullback when he has a chance, but he hasn't had much of a chance here. Besanov. Fullback Bal is free. He's got Yaremchuk just in front of him, trying to give him a bit of space. Here's the Zavarov. Yakovenko, Bal. Here's Zavarov again, swarming in on the Belgian goal. Zavarov, and loses it to De Mol and Verkouteren.
Jerry, all the talk before the game, of course, wasn't about the number 8 of Belgium, young Schifo, who's obviously had a great time in Belgian football and is going to be supposed to be one of the great players of the world. But I can't take my eyes off the number 8 on the Russian side, Yakovenko. He's covered, I would think, in the 25 minutes or so they've been playing, he's covered every blade of grass. He's come back and taken the ball off the back 4, and he makes good, positive forward runs.
A fair tackle there from Favort, who picks up the rebound now. It's not a very good ball in, but Grun manages to get hold of it. Kuhlemans getting away from Malienikov. Kuhlemans has it, and Grun has even pushed forward. Kuhlemans going well. This is Grun again. and nobody was coming in to challenge, and the whistle's gone anyhow. But 4 Belgian players in that penalty area, is that something, a record for the first 26 minutes?
Certainly a rarity. They'll get done for trespassing, I would think.
Yakovenko with Rats here. Yakovenko keeps going forward and leaving a hole in the middle for him to come into. Rats. Alienikov. No real chance because Vercauteren had got to him before he hit the ball. Dynamo Minsk, 24-year-old. Alienikov again. Rats on the left. Kuznetsov, Zavarov, Belanov going forward. This is Belanov. Might open up here for him. Oh, what a goal! Igor Belanov.
Jerry, brilliant. You won't see a better goal, I don't think, in the tournament than that. I was just about to say, actually, the Belgians are pulling a lot of defenders back and a lot of midfield players, but their marking is a little bit slack in towards their own goal. But the Russians, the pace and the accuracy of their passing is brilliant. Fabulous goal, that.
And Igor Belanov hits that one in with Jean-Marie Pfaff just standing there with his mouth agape. So it's just about 28 minutes gone. The doors are open for the Russians. It's the Red Devils now, and it could be the March of the Red Army, because they've always looked for the second goal. They've always made it great entertainment, and I don't think we'll see them sit back on that. And the Belgians might even have to come forward a bit, but not for the moment. Well, they're really buzzing around in front. Rats has gone over there. You got the taste now, this Kiev clique. Kuznetsov. Yaremchuk. Ronkin's at him. Yaremchuk's shot. Usually. Well, they like a bet in Mexico, mostly illegal, I might say, but they picked up very quickly that the Russians were wide outsiders at the start. Once they got 6 against Hungary, the odds came down. They gave France a bit of a fright with a 1-1 draw, put the second team out against Canada. Their odds now are 14-1, and they might well be dropping as Alienikov comes forward. And this set up here almost for Zavarov. Now, what can the Belgians produce here on the break? Jan Keulemans, away against Klaassen. Keulemans gets into the middle, it's deflected, and they get a corner. Just about half an hour gone then. 1-0 to the Soviet Union, but Belgium with a corner, quickly taken. A lot of space here for Klaassen. Vercauteren tried to get it back in. A chase by Schifo and Verwoerd. That's a fair tackle by Grun. Not such a fair one, though, by Alienikov. And a free kick to the Belgians. Is it too far for Schifo or for Vercauteren? And there might be a chance here, but it's offside against Klaassen.
It was offside, Jerry, but I don't think it was an intentional offside. I think the defender definitely got caught napping there. Smart free kick, very cleverly worked. The Russians have had a tendency on the last corner as well to sort of turn their backs on the ball on little set situations, which could be a little bit dangerous for them if they don't concentrate.
Alenikov just getting it through two Belgian players, luckily, but it was picked up well by Gerrits. Now Kurlemans. Kurlemans looking for the return, but Rats is dropping back. Zavarov ducking away from Georges Grun. Free kick. Zavarov. Yakovenko, Bal, the right back again. Yaremchuk comes inside, so there's a bit of space on that right-hand side. Now they're moving around again in front of Kuznetsov. Besanov and Kuznetsov. Bal on the touchline. Kuznetsov to Yaremchuk. Yakovenko. Well, this is not a Dua side by any means. Enjoying possession. Alienikov to Zavarov. And the Rats chasing this one. Keeps it in with Schifo. And he's pinched it. Gerrits to Grun. Oh, and Kuznetsov almost had that from him. Kurlemans with Fevort on his left. Schifo on the right out here with Gerrits. Gerrits having a go at Rats. Schifo. Dasaev stays on his line. Bal is in trouble for Kalteren. The second time Bal has been caught out in that far post position run.
Yes, and the ball's travelled a long way through the air as well. I mean, that is very, very naive defending. Sometimes you get that, don't you, when you get a team so attack-minded. And there's just been little tendencies with the Russians at the moment. They're so attack-minded that certain little disciplines at the back tend to go out the window.
Danny Veit to Kurlemans. Kurlemans showing his strength well. But the Russians attacking, or tackling in numbers, but it's coming to Frank Verkalteren. And away by Deminienko. They're in a bit of trouble still. Fevort, the sliding challenge. Fevort on the left foot.
Yeah, from a game point of view, Jerry, that's a brilliant thing, that goal, isn't it? We've seen a good side playing well, get rewarded, and all of a sudden we see that the Belgians, and they're no mugs themselves, they've got players that are playing top European soccer, come back and they sort of give that sort of retaliation.
Nice to see someone like Patrick Vervoort, the left back. He's only 21 years of age, only had 2 or 3 caps, got in just before these finals, having the confidence to get forward there. Kuznetsov, the young 23-year-old defender at the back for the Russians. Zavarov losing out to Grun, where they're picking up much more in midfield now, the Belgians. Schifo. Forward goes Grun again. Offside against De Mol, who's even pushed right up there. Belgians didn't much like that decision.
Justified, I would think, Jerry, because he looked well onside. Couldn't quite see where the linesman flagged there.
Interestingly, that was De Mol, one of the central defenders, who's shoved up farther there, but he's out of position at the moment as Yaremchuk drives forward. Belanov leaves in space on the right. This is for Belanov, but it wasn't quite right. Belanov gives him a bit of Soviet stick. Kurlemans, a return from Veit. There's a free kick to Belgium. Kurlemans getting more involved now, Ron.
Yes, he's captain of the side. He's big and strong. His best games for Belgium have always been when he's playing and pushing on, and he's really got to do that. He's got to take the initiative.
And did you try to buy him once? Is there any truth
well,
in
we
that?
were interested in him a little bit after the, what was it, the 1980 European finals. We sort of made a few inquiries about him, yeah.
But he's popped up on the edge of the area for this kick. The Mol is in there. Wedding, is he going to take the kick? No, it's Ronquin who takes it. And Grun has a token shot. I don't think it's gone out. It hasn't. Extraordinary spin. Schifo. Bit of wrestling there with the Rats, and a free kick. Well, that was some pass out to the flank.
Yeah, for a minute it looked as if he was going to shoot Jerry, didn't it? Tremendous vision.
Zavarov. There's Bal and Alyenikov. Besanov hanging about a bit, hoping to draw some Belgian players to him, perhaps making a bit more space for the front players. So we've had just about 38 minutes of this first half. It's the Soviet Union leading by that one superb goal from Igor Belanov. And the promise of more to come, I would think, because it's very, very hot out there. This is much hotter than the Belgians have played in at all. In Toluca and Mexico City, it's been quite cool and wet. Not here. The heat is definitely on as Rats drives forward and tumbles for a free kick. Well, they should have a trick or two up their sleeves here, the Russians. Practiced everything with Dynamo Kiev. Hit to the near post. And although Yaramchuk got it, he's not really big enough to get up in the air and get any power behind it. Well, you'll be surprised to know that there are 1,200 Russians somewhere out there. No doubt making a bit of noise. Probably more Russians here than Belgians. It's a great prize from the party to be allowed to come here. They've got to be sure that they're going to go back. Unlike the Poles in 1982, where they lost half of them. But I would think the Russians would need another goal before half-time to be really comfortable. Belanov pursuing this one and gets it. And coming up in the middle is Zavarov. It's coming for Zavarov!
Once again, tremendous front play. Belanov's pulled off wide, got good possession and measured his cross into the middle for Zabadov.
And he's only a small chap. If he'd have been perhaps a bit bigger, it might have been easier for him. Rats down again.
I think what happens, Jerry, I think although the Belgians have a number of defenders back, they haven't got a lot of pace at the back, you know. Gerrits is knocking on a little bit.
But the goalkeeper, Faf, was pretty quick there.
Roncon, whose job it is to sort of sweep at the back, he's at his best days in terms of legs.
And Klaassen might turn here. It's Kurlemans. Difficult to tell from this angle how close that was, but they're getting more players up in support of the Lone Ranger, Klaassen, who battled well for that one. It comes out to Klaassen. Well, it's quite wide.
They do look very threatening on the break, don't they, Jerry, the Belgians? They've got good front players. With the game situation as it is now, you know, it makes sense for them to try and push on and get this one back.
And the Russians have scored now 10 goals in this competition, and they've had 8 separate goal scorers. So there's always a chance of one or two of them putting the ball in the back of the net. Well, it'll be a tremendous story if the Russians do something here. 4th is the best they've ever finished. Kiev experiment won them, of course, the Cup Winners' Cup. They've got understanding, they've got youth, and they've got hope here. And I hope they've got a bit of defensive covering as Kuznetsov gets it away. And Belgium's coming forward well. Gerrits. Well, they're firing on all cylinders, the Red Devils now.
When they come forward, they look a useful side. In terms of a game, this is, for me, definitely the best game I've seen in the competition up to yet, Jerry. Because we've got a very good side who've played well and taken the lead. Now we've got another side that are capable of playing well and are really coming out the hole to have a go at it.
And we haven't seen, of course, this Russian side pinned back by anybody. They scored first against France, and then the French got an equaliser. But I wonder if the Belgians can make a real game of it here by picking something up as Demol goes forward and forces a nifty back pass from Kuznetsov. Well, it looked one-way traffic in the first 15 minutes. It's not the case by any means. But here goes Belanov again. Faf is out. Oh, great goalkeeping. But he's got to get back now as they pour forward again. And here's Belanov. And the shot well wide from your pal Yakovenko.
So once again, though, the lack of pace on the Belgian back four there. The one through ball took all three central defenders out of it, and Belanov was very unlucky. Faf is excellent there. Tremendous goalkeeping there.
The spirit of the Belgians was pretty good after they qualified. They've all said they've had a bit of a dodgy defence, but they had their wives over here, they had a few beers, a bit of a party. They said, well, the pressure's off us now. We've done what a lot of people said we wouldn't do, qualify. And now let's see what we can do. They're still trailing by that one goal, though, as Deminienko, the powerful left-back, breaks forward. Gerets, superb challenge. Kurlemans with Frankie Verkouteren on his left. Can Belgium build anything here? Veit and Klaassen up front. Even Ronquin has pushed forward. Schifo. Well, he hits the ball very, very sweetly, this 20-year-old of Sicilian ancestry. But I don't think Desaev was too worried. Well, we've got a minute or so before the half-time break. The Russians, who looked so good for much of the game, have lived dangerously on a couple of occasions.
I think basically what adds to the game, Jerry, the Russians haven't really got a defensive midfield player. So when they go on the break, there's no one that can really hold a Belgian counter-attack up. But that makes it for a better game. It means we don't have a negative stifle game in the middle of the park. We've got a free-flowing game that's now pretty well end-to-end.
And Demol was in trouble there, and forward gets Yaremchuk. He can't do it. Just about 30 seconds to go of this first half, which, as far as I can remember, hasn't seen the trainers on. We've gone from end to end, mostly one end for the first stage or two, but it's opened up. And I dare say, when it comes to the second half, with the heat taking a bit of a toll, and the fact that these players have already played 3 games in a short spell, we're very likely to see bigger openings and more goals. Forward goes Kurlemans. Can he get one back? It's a good effort. Checking his watch, and as well as being a very entertaining first half, he blows the whistle. The half-time score then is Soviet Union 1, Belgium 1. It's been good in the first half, and it could well be better in the second half. That's the story then from Leon for the first 45 minutes. We'll be going back to London and Brian Moore in a few moments. He's going to get the boot here. Ron, you've been looking at the Kiev side with particular interest, haven't you?
Yes, well, we found out that we play them in a pre-season friendly in Amsterdam, and what is it, 8, 9 of them playing? Certainly that's going to be a good preparation for us.
I'm calling them the Kiev side. I should really call him the Soviet Union side. And they start this second half leading by 1-0. It's still pretty hot here. 25 Celsius, which we've worked out roughly is about 77 or perhaps a little bit more, but it's clouding over a bit. The pitch is in good condition, not as spongy as most of the others that have been played on in this tournament. And it's Alianenkov, pursued by the indefatigable Klaassen. Geretz into a bit of trouble almost. Ronquin sweeping behind. Bulleted away, and out comes goalkeeper Dasaev. One goalkeeper to the other. Bow. Alianikov. Yakovenko. Zavarov. Yakovenko. On the left he's got Dimitrienko, but I don't know whether that was a pass or not. But it was a very, very hard one for Belanov. Schifo quickly dispossessed. Zavarov, support, and a shot of sorts. Well, Belanov has got a couple of goals now. One from the penalty spot and that superb one in the first half. They've also missed from the penalty spot, the Russians, so they could have even more goals. There's a little bit of misunderstanding here as to what should take place next. This is Grun to Vervoort. De Mol. Dimitrienko gets it away. Picked up by Veit. One or two players here as Grun gets it to Frankie Verkouteren. And Geretz has gone forward. Kurlemans stopped in the nick of time. And Schifo can chip one over. Nice little body sway, but there's two onto him. Schifo still with it. And gets a corner off Rats. Did pretty well there, Ron.
Did very well, but it's noticeable when Geretz pushes on that Belgium's best moments seem to happen. Although he's knocking on a little bit in years now, he's still got the pace and the power when he comes forward to make things happen.
Frankie Verkouteren with the left foot, knocking one back here to Danny Veit. The Russians pushing out. Back to Verkouteren. And that was into the hole, but Grun couldn't get there before Dasaev. Yaremchuk. Yaremchuk, a powerful run. Zavarov goes forward. Zavarov still with it. Belanov's offside, I thought. The linesman's flag didn't go up, though. Kuznetsov. Hunting in packs again, the Russians. Yaremkov. Oh, he's getting into a danger area. Great run by Yaremkov and a good bit of covering by De Mol. Vervoort away to Frankie Verkouteren. These two sides have met only twice in World Cup matches, as Geretz chases that one. And they've both been won by the Russians, 4-1 and 1-0. One of them, of course, in 1982 in Barcelona, when the Belgian side didn't show as much character as they're showing tonight, as Kurlemans gets forward. And forward for Grun. George Grun was in a really telling position there. But of course, remember, he's really a fullback. Getting into that penalty area with a ball to trap and put in might have worried him a bit. But a good run also by Patrick Vervoort here. Blocked by Kuznetsov. Kaltran gives him a return, gets it back. Appeals for handball. He got it. Grun will go up. Schifo is on the edge of the area. Keulemans is a pretty big guy. De Mol is in there. There's packs of Belgians as they look for this equaliser. Frankie Verkalteren. Desaev comes out. That's a good catch. Well, he's perhaps not as famous as Lev Yashin, but he'll soon be overtaking the number of caps that Yashin has. News of Yashin, incidentally, that rather sadly he had a leg amputated, and it's common talk, even among the Russians who don't say much, that he might have a bit of a drink problem, which is sad. But here come the Soviet Union again. Yaremchuk. Besonov now with players moving around up front, but not moving around quite as energetically as they did in the first half. And Besonov back to goalkeeper Desaev.
No, Trevor was saying at half-time, wasn't he, how the heat affects players out here. And when you wonder at the start that they made the Russians, they really turned, they played it as if it was the middle of November, really cool conditions. Went flat out. You just wonder, in fact, whether it has had an effect on them physically.
Belanov is chasing this, so Belanov might get hold of this one. Well, there was a push, says the referee, which is just as well for George Grun. Flag goes up there. Foul against Enzo Schifo.
I think it's fair to say, Jerry, the sides haven't quite found the pace and the tempo that they finished up at half-time, have they? They're sparring a little bit for it with each other. I'm particularly interested to watch Yakovenko, the midfield player. I thought the first half was the best player on the field. Bit reminiscent of Colin Bell. Runs about a lot, and it'll be interesting to see how his stamina sticks out in the second half.
Kuznetsov. Andrei Bal. Yaremchuk. Good run by Yaremchuk, but Fevort is still with him. Here's Zavarov. Belanov can't get the return to him. Yakovenko, again, a superb ball to Rats. He's got a terrific left foot. And Belanov, it's the post. Yakovenko, off the line. Terrific stuff. Belanov denied. It's still not over yet, the danger. Well, the Belgians should have been sunk there.
Yeah, super move on it, brilliant. Actually, in fairness to Belanov, he possibly had too good a header. He struck his header well. I couldn't see him missing when the ball was floated in from Rats.
And Fevort did a good job to get that one off the line from Yakovenko. Belanov getting in there, looking for the back flagger, but nobody's coming in on the far post. Rats had disappeared. Big long one to chase for the Belgians up front, and Desaev is there. Bal. Zavarov making a break. Yaremchuk is on his right. Zavarov getting in there, but he was well robbed by George Grun. And again, those long ones from Jean-Marie Pafaf not doing much.
No, I can't quite understand. He's kicked every one the length of the field, and unless Keulemans is pushing up there, I can see the value in it if Keulemans pushes up and they try to hit him on top and then support little knock-ons and that.
Is Yaremchuk. Belanov gets forward. Well played by Fevort, but it wasn't quite strong enough, and Yaremchuk has it back. Alienikov to Bal. Besonov. It's a throw into the Belgians. 10 minutes gone in this second half. They're still trailing by that one goal. Can they get back into the game? For Voort, who saved them on the line just a couple of minutes ago. For Kouteren. It goes Dimienko, Schifo! Schifo scores! They're back in it. Good cross, but Dimienko, I think, made a mess of it. And Schifo scores comfortably.
Just shows in football, Jerry, you can never tell, can you? But the Russians have looked, if anything, a bit vulnerable to cross buttons. If you look at this now, is there a suggestion that Schifo might have been offside?
You might be right, but again, when that cross came over, the big Dimienko shaped for it and then didn't get it at all. There was a big hole behind him, and the Belgian flags are flying. So are the spirits of this side. Came here, a lot of people felt, to make up the numbers. They were steamrolled early on by this Soviet side, but now they're back in it. Yaremchuk, Zavarov. On the right, you've got Yakovenko. And Jean-Marie Pfaff takes over. Well, the discussion before the game was, who do Russia play in the next round? And it's going to be the winners, incidentally, of the Denmark and Spain game. But that's by no means clear-cut now. It's won by Bal. Here's Yakovenko looking for Rats. Don't forget, we might get a bonus if the score stays like this. If you can stay up and get a little bit of extra Mexican sunshine, because we'll have extra time and perhaps penalties. We'll definitely get a result tonight. Forward goes for Kouteren. Not such a good ball this time, and Kuznetsov cuts out well. Alianenkov, Bal. On the right goes Belanov. Free kick. Alianenkov finding Dimienko, this so experienced captain, who might be cursing himself for that incident at the back. Schifo breaks away with it, but the whistle's gone. It's quickly taken by Dimienko. He's gone forward again. And there's another free kick. Grun is penalised. That's a bit harsh, many people think here. Well, Yakovenko with the right foot, Rats with that devilish left foot. What do you think?
Fancy a left foot bender from Rats.
Okay, here's Rats. 8 out of 10 you get.
Fancied a better left foot bender from Rats, though.
Kuleman's lost it, regains it, then loses it again, and sits this one out for the moment. Yakovenko, as the Kiev clique trying to get back into their stride. Zavarov looking for Yaremchuk. He's offside, but the game goes on. Kuleman's giving an unwise return, perhaps. For Kouteren getting the taste. So is Vervoort. But the Russians have it. Yaremchuk. And down goes Rats. And that's a free kick. Quarter of an hour into this second period then. 1-1. Rats with the kick. Belanov the foul man. Zavarov and Yakovenko for the knockdown. Nobody there. Kleisen, and he gets a kick. Well, he hasn't had much possession, Nico Klaassen, but he's certainly run very hard. Grun, not a good one. Gerets got in there. Better one by Grun. Taking a return from Schifo. Klaassen couldn't quite get a hold of it. Now here come the Soviet Union. There are more gaps in midfield now as the heat begins to tell. Belanov, Bal has gone in there, but it's stopped by Patrick Vervoort. And the Belgians, I think, doing as much running as the Russians. Keulemans. Grun has gone forward. This is George Grun. And there was no support out there from Danny Veit. He couldn't get forward early because he'd have been offside.
Certainly their best period of the game, Belgium, and I wouldn't be surprised if Guy Tees at half-time hasn't sort of said, hey, we've got to get our fingers out now. They're not the greatest at the back, the Russians. If they've got a problem, it is in defending, and that's exactly the way the game's going at the moment. It makes for a great game from our point of view. We've got both teams having a go at one another.
Bal, fine attacking fullback. We haven't seen him get forward all that much. Demol couldn't get it, nor could Ronquin, but it's Gerets. Veit back to Gerets. Pressure on him immediately, and he's giving it away. Gerets getting in there again, but conceding a free kick. Deminienko was in there hard. They've got the taste now, the Russians. Surely they must feel that they had this game won, but have let it slip slightly. Deminienko is on the ball. Belanov and Yaremchuk on the edge of the area. Now they're all pushing in. Deminienko. Over-ambitious, I'd have thought. Built like a Soviet brick outhouse, but we haven't seen him with too many chances to get forward as he usually does. Mind you, there are plenty of others doing that job.
Yes, I think he's got the responsibility of looking after Schifo, and I think he'll be disappointed with the goal. A, because he was either a mile out of position, or B, because the lad was, in fact, quite a way offside.
Kuznetsov, the highest today. Incidentally, the attendance here was given at half-time was just over 38,000, which is quite a good tale because the official capacity is 30,500. But never let the facts get in the way of a good story, as the Mexicans say. It's not always what it seems here. But there's plenty of noise and plenty of things to look forward to. And we might be getting a change or two in the Belgian side quite soon. One or two people warming up over the far side as the Soviet Union build again. Alyenikov, Besanov, Kuznetsov, Zabarov, and here goes Yakovenko, but the whistle has gone, and that, I'm afraid, is a nasty one from Ronquin. The hand of friendship extended, accepted, but it's a yellow card.
I can't believe we've gone the game's gone this far before Ronquin's got one of those in, to be fair, Jerry. That is a little bit of his trademark.
It's only the third yellow card the Belgians have got. And Belanov is getting forward there. Yaremchuk couldn't get it. And Gerets knocks it back. 20 minutes gone of this second half. End-to-end stuff. Still in the balance here. And even the big defenders at the back are resorting to the boot for the first time in this game. Couldn't get it. Klaassen collects it. Forward goes Veit. Just wide of Keulemans. Bit unlucky not to pick it up. But here's Yakovenko. Belanov on his left. Free kick. It's quickly taken. Zavarov against Gerets. And the whistle's gone again. The Belgians, of course, qualified in third place in their group, behind Paraguay and Mexico. They lost 2-1 to them in the opening game. The Russians won their group on goal difference from France. So this was reckoned to be very much in the Russians' favour here. But it hasn't proved quite that way. But here comes Zavarov. Nice bit of jinky control, not such a good ball though. Kurlemans nicely done. Grun, not so well. But Yaremchuk has come back to cover. Grun, good tackle. Grun, don't forget, the number 13 was the player who scored the goal in the playoff that against Holland that meant Belgium qualified here. Yakovenko, Zavarov, and out comes Pfaff. Was that a foot up from Alienikov? It was. Apologies. And a word from the referee, but nothing more than the free kick. Having a breather, I think, one or two of the players.
Yes, I should think the Russian front players particularly will welcome that, because people like Zavarov have really been working very hard. They're straight away, as soon as there's a break, they're straight over to the water bottles. A little bit of coaching going on as well in the touchline. But Zavarov and Belanov have covered miles actually up front, and it's the hardest place to play when you're working and running, and that's exactly what they've done for what, close on an hour now.
Well, he's recovered. In the interim, as Ron mentioned, a lot of people have gone over to have a gasp of water from the plastic bags. For Catherine, changes it well to Gerets. Can he get at it? Kurlemans. Gerets has gone forward. Well picked up though by Dominienko. Zavarov. Dominienko, hope this one, but Belanov's in there. Ronquin was almost caught out there. I thought he turned his player and got the ball, but the pressure that Belanov put on him almost opened it up.
I also think first half, Jerry, early on he'd have got that, you know. I think Belanov would have got that when he was fresh and his legs were really sprightly.
Well, they're only amateurs, of course, officially, so perhaps they're not as fit as the other full-time professionals. Here's Vervoort. Just about 24 minutes gone now of this second half. It's 1-1 with Belgium pushing forward. Not so well. Yaremchuk. Good run by Yaremchuk on his right. He's got Yakovenko. Forward, he's got Zavarov. Loses out, but it's going to be picked up by Alienikov. Yaremchuk with Yakovenko here. They're getting more players forward into the area. Alienikov couldn't get at it, but it'll be a corner with it. No, it won't. It'll be a goal kick. Is Kurlemans and gives it to Zavarov. Well won, in fact. Zavarov bursting forward. Belanov for the opening. It's there. Igor Belanov yet again. Zavarov did superbly. Great target. Goalkeeper comes out, but he couldn't do anything about it. And all because of a bit of slackness in the middle of the field by Belgium.
Not too dissimilar to the first goal, is it? Where a beautiful thready pass through from Zavarov to Belanov gives him a click. clear-cut finish. Finishes it clinically, but I think you've got to say once again, the man in midfield, Yakovenko, robbed Keulemans high up the park and then played a beautiful ball in early.
Well, that's a bad blow for the Belgians because Keulemans was robbed by Yakovenko, set the whole thing going. Now they're trailing again, and I would have thought they could have a lot of courage to get back in on that. Keulemans. Here's that man, Yakovenko again. Zavarov getting forward. Good bit of play by Georges Grun. Forward come Belgium again. Enzo Schifo for Couchon on the left-hand side, but they're robbed. They've got a lot of players committed forward. There are acres and acres of space now for the Soviets to exploit them. 5 against 3. Rats gets in here. Demanienko too, but so many players there, and it was a wasted opportunity from Rats.
Brilliant break, but I think those fellas in the middle won't be appreciating Rats shooting from that angle. They're all queuing up, waiting for a little pull back that will give them a great situation.
Going to have a substitution in a minute for Russia. So Zavarov goes off, and it's Sergei Rodionov. Now he's an experienced international. He can play in midfield or up front, so there's going to be even more problems for the Belgians. Trailing now by 2-1.
That's certainly a well-earned rest, though, from Zavarov, wasn't it? Probably a good tactical switch as well, actually, because, as we were saying just a little bit earlier, both front players have worked tremendously hard.
It reduces the amount of Kiev players down to a mere 8 now. Georges Grun. Oh, pinched by Alienikov. Forward they come again. Rodionov's pass to Rats wasn't quite on the ball, but the Belgians are brave to challenge here. They're giving it everything. Keulemans gets and takes the free kick, but I think it'll have to come back. Take it from that spot, says the Swedish referee, please. Well, the Belgians now will power forward, and there's sure to be some openings at the back. So there's more to come if you stick with us. Keulemans. Vervoort.
Jerry, I can't believe I'm watching an Eastern Bloc country play, seeing Russia the way they are. They play with a complete freedom of expression. They break forward. There's a 2-1 lead there for them. Now, I would believe most sides from the Iron Curtain would sit on that, put an extra man in, block it up. They don't give you the impression they're going to go do that. They give you the impression their best way of playing is to go for more goals.
Well, of course, most of these players were playing for Dynamo Kiev against Atletico Madrid in the Cup Winners' Cup final in France not so long ago, and they were leading 1-0 until the last 3 or 4 minutes, and then bagged another 2 very late on. So they'll probably keep going here. Here's Rodionov. Yakovenko robbed by Verkalteren. Geretz. All the Russians back except Yakovenko, who's ambling back. Good run here, though. Offside. Well, Klassen disagrees with that. What do you think, Ron?
I think the linesman probably realised he might have made a mistake about 20 minutes ago. Certainly nowhere in the world was he offside then.
And you have 15 minutes left if the score stays like this, but I'm sure the Belgians will give it everything. because they'll be on the plane home tomorrow if they can't pull one back. Free kick there. Ronquin not too certain where to go next because all the Russians have pulled back. Demol firing one forward. There's space here for Kerlemans. He's got it! What about the offside, the Russians are saying?
Jerry, the linesman, actually flagged for offside. He's picked his flag up. He flagged for offside when the ball's into Kerlemans here, and then he's put it down. I can't believe that, because my first reaction when looking at Kerlemans was he's a mile offside. The linesman with the yellow flag definitely picked his flag up and then put it down when he scored.
Well, of course, it was a long ball forward. They might have pushed up after the ball was kicked, but most people here would say that there was a bit of luck there from the Belgian point of view, but enough for them to celebrate and get them back into the game.
Jerry, there's an area of doubt about the first one. No danger about that. He was a mile offside. I can't believe the linesman don't know what day it is.
I think the Russians want to make another substitution, but just for the moment, they've got to get themselves organized here. Well, this is real late-night drama. Grun challenging here, wins it well. Schifo gets up with Deminienko. Schifo picks up the loose ball and holds it well. The Belgians really enjoying their luck, bearing in mind they've had their post hit, they've had one cleared off the line, but they're still in this game. Gerets. Demol. In well for Klaassen, he couldn't quite control it. Bal now to Yaremchuk. Yaremchuk having a go for Voort. Good run by Bal, the right back. Rodionov is in there, Belanov's in there. Well away though by Gerets. Great ball forward for Klaassen. Danny Veit. Grun is with him. Grun overlapping. Now he's in a cul-de-sac. No, he's not now. Although Verkasseren can't get it. Danny Veit hasn't had too many international caps. Has done a lot of running. I think ran out of ideas rather quickly there. And a substitution. Your pal goes off. He's had a good game. Yakovenko, and on comes another midfield player, another Kiev player, Yevtushenko.
I'm just saying, Jerry, you're on about Danny Veit there. Did he get into a cul-de-sac? He actually had one of his own colleagues, I think it was Schiffel, about 10 yards offside. It might have been worth giving him a through ball, actually.
That's not the spirit of the game. Yevtushenko had a full game against Canada. All the Russians have played full matches except the third choice goalkeeper. Bal. Alienikov. As the Russians go looking for the third one. Kuznetsov. Forward to Yevtushenko. Rats is wide. Deminienko comes up from defense. Yaremchuk. Whistle's gone. A free kick to the Soviet Union from what might be an inviting position at this stage of the game. when your legs are tired. Good challenge. Picked up by Bal. Alienikov against Favort. Favort wins. Klaassen gives a bad ball. And Alienikov to Rodionov. Rodionov getting forward. Great run by Rodionov. Not a good ball in. Yeremchuk. Oh, what bad luck. Ivan Yeremchuk with a rasping shot that hits the bar. Terrific play by Rodionov to get it back to him. And they're so unlucky.
Unlucky is not the word for it, Jerry. They must feel the fates are against them now, and you begin to wonder whether they can win it, don't you? They've hit the bar twice. They've had 2 doubtful goals given against them. They've played. The Belgians have played well, but full marks to Russia. Their spirit, the way they've played, the style of play has been tremendous.
Well, it seems a shame to get a winner from this one, but we will have a winner tonight. Stick with it. Grun appeared to handle it, but Rodionov battles. And now they get a free kick. Yeremchuk. Bal, the right back, pushes forward ahead of him. Now Bal gets going against Favort. Bal doing well. Yeremchuk. Belanov gets into the middle. Yeremchuk is going forward. That's for Belanov. Can he turn? Yevtushenko. Kuznetsov. Offside against the Rats.
Well, for years in England, we've talked about a Russian linesman, haven't we, Jerry? I tell you what, if Russia lose this game, there'll be an awful lot of talk about Spanish linesmen.
This was the ground, of course, 16 years ago, where England seemed to have the game against West Germany wrapped up and then lost it. I suppose there's a little bit of similarity in the way the Russians have been good and dominant, but have been pulled back twice. I wonder if we could produce the same sort of drama here as 16 years ago. Alienikov to Kuznetsov. Here's Yevtushenko, the substitute, the fresh legs. Yeremchuk. Favort leans on him well, keeps him out. It's a corner. 6 minutes left of normal time. Extra time to come if it stays like this. Belanov is there, Rodionov and Kuznetsov has come up from the back. Verkouteren puts it into space, but not very far into space. Yevtushenko. Verkouteren wins again. Well done. There's only Klaassen up front for Danny Veit, and it wasn't a good ball to him. They must be so tired now. At least the sun has gone in, but it's still as hot as Hades out there. Kuznetsov. Here comes Bal. Rodionov, Yevtushenko are all in the middle waiting for the cross. It's not good enough, but picked up by Kuznetsov. Yeremchuk. Very strong on the ball. And given away by Yeremchuk to Kurlemans. Can Belgium break here? Danny Veit on his right. He's got Schifo. He didn't need to do that. Schifo was supporting him on the right-hand side.
That's the danger, of course. The Russians are committed now to try and win it, and they can always be hit on the break.
5 minutes left of normal time. 2-2 the score. Rodionov. Yevtushenko gets in there. It's going to be picked up by Rats. That left foot isn't working quite so well in this game.
It stood up a little bit ugly for him though, Jerry. But they're still pushing on. They're still having a go, the Russians. They're still trying to force the winner in normal time.
Pfaff with the missile kick. Klaassen chases. Makes it hard for them. How much he's done in this game without really getting a clear shot on goal. Besanov. Looking for Rats. Can't do it. Gerets for Belgium. Gerets again getting in there well. Forward they come. Bit of support here, but the pass out not good enough by Ronquin. Two and a half minutes left. Rodionov and Besanov. Chipping one over for Belanov to go for. No pressure though on Verkouteren. Well, this is the first time we've seen the floodlights come on here in Mexico. We're playing games that start at 12 and at 4 o'clock, but there's a shining light here as Klaassen gets forward. Klaassen, Schifo! Well, there was an opening there for Schifo that could have made a name for himself, but Desailly getting across and making a brilliant save. If instinctive, but he was there. And it's a corner now for Belgium with less than 2 minutes left. Comes to Danny Viet. No trouble there.
Yes, well, that would have been a great injustice, wouldn't it? But once again, you saw the weakness of the Russian defenders on a cross ball, albeit a shorter chip than the others. Brilliant goalkeeping, though, brilliant reaction. He got from one side of his goal to the other and did well, and he's kept his side in the game.
So we have less now than a minute and a half of normal time. Extra time after this, if it stays at 2-2. Besanov looking for Rats. I think he's found him this time. Gerets gets over. Needs all his experience here. Here's Rodionov. Rodionov. Anielnikov. Yevtushenko. Only away as far as Bal. Yevtushenko's offside. It won't count. Well, they're certainly giving it everything here. Less than 30 seconds left on our clock. Extra time looks inevitable. And if it's as good as what we've already seen, then it's well worth waiting up for. Kuznetsov gets in there. Yaremchuk, who's run so well and so effectively, is pulled down. We'll have a free kick. It's quickly taken. The referee checks his watch as they break, and Belanov goes down, and we're going to have a free kick on the edge of the area. Very close to being in the area. We're into injury time now. It's 2-2. It's surely the Russians' last chance. But almost 30 seconds of injury time. Obviously, all the Belgians are coming back. Deminienko is trying to organize things. Besanov is in there. So many players involved. It's got to count. Get that wall back, says the referee. Besanov and Deminienko on the ball. Here's Besanov. The referee looks at his watch again. Yaremchuk puts it over. And the whistle goes for the end of the 90 minutes. Well, we're going to have extra time here. We're sure to have more excitement, but you'll have to come back and join us for that after a quick break. Sorry, mate. Thanks, mate. It's going well. But it's so late at night. Thanks.